I, female 33, have one sibling, an older brother, Dan, 36. Dan and I never had the closest relationship, even when we were kids. I can't exactly pinpoint why, but it was just the way it was. Our mom was a single mother. When we were kids, our mom worked 2 jobs as a housekeeper and a school lunch lady to make ends meet. We were really broke. As soon as I turned 16, I got a job working in retail to contribute to the household and hopefully save up for university. I was starting to save up a pretty sizable amount of money after a year. In that same year, Dan got one of his coworkers pregnant. Shortly after she gave birth, she was hospitalized multiple times with postpartum psychosis and eventually lost all custody of the baby. Dan took custody, so it was me, our mom, Dan, and the baby in a 2-bedroom flat. It was crowded and cluttered, and Dan vented to me many times about how he needed to get his own place. Dan was really struggling for money. He was working a minimum wage job and had all the baby expenses to worry about. When I was 17, Dan stole my debit card and bank details and withdrew all my savings, around 2,000 pounds. He put my debit card back in my wallet and then left the house with the baby and moved in with his new girlfriend. I felt so betrayed that he would take something I had worked so hard for. My mom told me I was forbidden from going to the police about it and told me to just let it go, as Dan was struggling and needed it. When I was old enough to go to university, my dad gave me money for my expenses. I hadn't spoken to Dan since that day, and Dan never attempted to speak to me either. Last week, my mom tried to sneakily get me and Dan to meet up under the guise of just getting a normal dinner at a restaurant, and he was in on it. I told them that I didn't want to see Dan. Dan told me I needed to grow up, and I couldn't hold a grudge over this forever. It was such a long time ago. He was young and desperate, and he's still my brother. He said it's only money and I shouldn't be so materialistic. I told him it's the principle of it, that I'm his little sister and he stole something significant from me. He said I'm dramatizing the situation and that he was in a rough patch, and surely I could understand why he did it. No one in the family's on my side here except my dad, and I'm wondering if I really am being so wrong and so cold-hearted. Why doesn't he pay you back if it's only money, with interest, and apologize for what he did? But as he is, he's someone who stabbed you in the back and then shrugged and said you need to get over it because it was a long time ago and he was having a hard time. No. Those were my exact thoughts. And if it's not a big deal, then surely it's not a big deal to reimburse OP to 2,000 pounds with interest and adjusted for inflation, plus apology. All of the family that's getting on OP's case about it can put money into the pot to pay her back or pay the brother's debt off to her fully. Otherwise, screw off, in the Scottish sense. Not the idiot OP. You do not have to forgive him or welcome him back into your life. It's about more than the money. He broke your trust, placed your future at risk, took away the safety of your home, and showed no remorse. You don't need people like that in your life, especially ones who say it's only money. Money may be at the heart of this issue, but it's so much more than that. Look, it's not just money. He broke your trust. He was an adult with a job, living at his mom's, in a home where everyone worked. Thus, I'm guessing the family wouldn't have let the baby go without. Yet he decided to steal from his little sister, just so he could go live with his new girl. 2,000? That's a felony theft amount. He'd be a felon if you made a police report and charged him. You aren't cold-hearted. He wasn't at risk of ending up under a bridge with his baby, even if he wanted to make it sound like it. He didn't have a conversation with you, and he didn't set a plan to give it back little by little. No, he decided he had a right to your money and to gamble with your future and then told you to get over it. Your mom is also a huge idiot too for enabling him and taking his side. At this point, you owe them nothing. I, 24 male, am throwing my birthday dinner for my family and close friends this weekend. I'm moving out of state next week and wanted to hang out one last time with my entire family. However, I specifically told my older sister, 35, that under no circumstances was she to bring my nephew, pre-tween, to the party. Here's why. My girlfriend is on a medication and has gained a considerable amount of weight. He's taken to calling her fatty every single chance he gets. This is something she's very insecure about, and I know it hurts her feelings. The kid doesn't know how to share. If he likes a dish on the dining table, he empties the entire bowl onto his plate and throws a tantrum if somebody else tries to take some off of his plate. One time I was hanging out with him, my sister, and my mom, and I had exactly 5 leftover macaroons, so everyone could have at least one. He grabbed the box and ate all of them, ignoring me when I told him he had to share. Almost every person in my family has tried to tell my sister that her son's behavior is not acceptable, and her only response now is that, "I can't help it, he doesn't listen," or "he's just a kid, he'll grow out of it." So I told her, "You either come alone to the party or don't come at all, but I don't want your kid there." Of course, this led to her calling me immature, and I didn't care. However, it wasn't until my mom pointed out that I was a grown man excluding a kid from a party that I started feeling that maybe I was overreacting. I still don't want him at the party. What do you think? Am I an idiot for excluding him? Not the idiot. It's a little rich for her to call you immature, but she clearly hasn't matured enough to attempt to be a parent. His calling your girlfriend fatty is enough for me to exclude him until your sister can get that in check. I wonder why kids and their parents expect to have an invite to every adult event, especially if the kid is rude and doesn't listen and the parent doesn't care. It's your birthday dinner and your decision. Your sister needs to raise her child correctly and tell him how to behave. Your birthday dinner shouldn't turn into an event where your nephew makes your girlfriend feel terrible about herself. You are the idiot. You're an adult. He's just a kid doing his best. Maybe offer to do something with you and him, or parent their kids better. My 28 male, wife 26, and I've been married for close to 7 years. We currently have 5 kids, a young male child, a male preschooler, female toddler, and my wife gave birth to fraternal twins a 1.5 years ago. My wife intended to graduate high school the year we married, but life got in the way. My dad had given me an investor relations type of role at his company, so we were traveling a lot, and then after that, our kids needed our attention. After our twins were born, my wife was bedridden for longer than even the doctors and we expected. Since we had to hire extra hands to do the childcare task that involved mobility, my wife had some time on her hands. Her mother told her that her friend who proctors at a testing center said that they give GED tests every week, at least across the state of Idaho, and that she should dust off her general education knowledge. So she started browsing her laptop and enrolled in a GED prep class online. It seemed she was better at self-paced learning than classroom learning because the stuff they were testing her on came way easier to her now than it did then, even though she's been away from structured classroom instruction for many years now. Even after she was back on her feet, she'd be studying for it after she dropped the older 2 off at their respective schools. I would see what she was studying, and it looked pretty rudimentary, and I know that getting a GED basically meant nothing, and that she probably wouldn't be able to apply it to anything career-wise or commit full-time to community college, where I doubt the job prospects for students are that great right now either. So my wife ended up taking the test, and the other day she bounded into the room and said, "Yes, I passed. I knew she would since she was doing well on the practice test, and the GED consistently tests on the same rudimentary topics. So I didn't gripe at her, but merely nodded at her and went back to answering an important email from a client. My wife seemed to get upset, and I asked her what was wrong. She said I didn't seem that excited, and I said that it was great that she passed, but I'd been telling her that it was easy and no big deal. But if she needed something to prove to herself she knew the high school concepts, I guess the money was well spent. Then she got even more upset and said she worked very hard and that this was the essential building block to being able to start a career. You are the idiot. You're a major idiot. Your wife is trying to look after 5 children and found the time to get her GED. Why don't you let her go out of town for a week and see how hard it is looking after 5 small children? Would it have killed you to get up, hug her, and tell her how proud you are of her? Take her out to dinner one night to celebrate? Wow, I hope this isn't indicative of the respect you give her the rest of the time. Right? A supportive partner celebrates all accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem to them. And honestly, I wouldn't even call this small. I also don't understand where you got this. She wasn't exactly graduating from college and wouldn't be for 15 years. Or why you think community college is useless. Weird take to belittle your wife's work in trying to receive a higher education. I'm getting, I want to keep her home and controlled vibes. No, you don't understand. He was answering an important email from a client. I'm honestly so sad for this woman. Pregnant at 19, the husband gets a job from daddy, and she dedicates herself to the kids. After a difficult birth, she takes time to work on something important. Instead, the husband goes out of his way to belittle her. Geez, he's afraid his bang-mate nanny will get a job and try to leave him eventually. Dude, she feels accomplished because she did something that she put on hold for your lives together. It doesn't matter whether you think it's easy or important. She's proud of it. Meanwhile, your daddy handed you a job and you reek of self-importance. Your life got in her way. She didn't need to go traveling with you. She could have stayed and finished her degree back when she was 19. I feel sorry for your wife and hope she wises up and leaves you. My sister-in-law, Jen, has 4 kids, a tween female, a younger female, a male kindergartner, and a female toddler. Jen isn't really in a good position to be a parent. She struggles with mental health issues that she tends to refuse treatment for. As a result, her kids have been placed with me multiple times over the years, to the point where they have bedrooms in my and my husband's house, and they all go to schools and daycare near our house. The kids have been with us since September. This time looks like it might be permanent. Jen gets weekly supervised visits, but she doesn't show up half the time. And when she does, there's a good chance that she has to be separated from the kids for their safety. All of the kids dread these visits. At their most recent visit, the youngest started crying and saying she wanted mommy. Jen went to her, but she was still crying and asking for her mommy, and everyone figured out who she was talking about. This set Jen off. She had to be separated from the kids again, and really hasn't been doing well physically or mentally since then. Jen's family has been messaging me lately to accuse me of trying to steal Jen's kids and say that I never should have let them call me mommy. My friends and family are divided. Am I the idiot for letting the kids call me mommy? Not the idiot. To this little girl, you are mommy. You aren't stealing her kids. The kids see Jen so little, they're afraid of her. They would be with her if she could take care of them properly. They're lucky to have you. They aren't lucky. Their lives are full of confusion and trauma. I mean, absolutely no disrespect whatsoever. It's just that phrase, they're lucky, that makes it sound like they should be grateful or something. OP represents the possibility of healing, which happens in stability when the trauma response de-escalates and stops being re-triggered by their first mother. OP is hope, love, and safety. If they want to call you mommy and you're all right with that, then that's beautiful. A toddler is calling for the person that provides their care. If OP had been insisting the children call her mom, that would be a different thing. But if the children do it because they take comfort and stability from doing so, that's absolutely fine. All OP and her husband need to be concerned with is creating a stable, loving environment for the children. I empathize with the biological mom, as she must be dealing with harrowing stuff regarding her mental health and having to relinquish her children. Hopefully in time she can get well enough to see the kindness and good in her children being cared for while she couldn't parent them. You are the idiot. I honestly can't believe how ignorant you are of mental illness. She's already dealing with enough in her life, and then she has to come home to her own kids, not even calling her mother, which is not the case. You're not their mom, and you're not making her recovery process any easier. So please tell me where in the story that you're not the idiot. Because, quite honestly, it hasn't said that you've been any other help. Maybe if you tried to help the mom figure out her situation, instead of bombarding her and accusing her of being such a crappy parent, you would solve the problem, and the kids would have a real mom. Growing up, I always wanted a dog, but our apartment complex didn't allow them. Then, thanks to finances and situations, it didn't quite pan out in adulthood either. Now that we have a bigger house and the kids are older, teen and preteen, wife and I have decided that now is the time. So we got the kids a dog for Christmas. The only problem is my younger daughter doesn't like the dog at all. We thought she needed time to adjust, but even now she recoils if the dog comes near her. She doesn't pet him or even talk to him, and she doesn't want to take part in caring for him as part of her chores. My older daughter's good with walking him because she runs after school anyway, but even she can't get her sister interested in helping be a dog parent. My younger daughter outright says she wishes the dog would go away. My wife and I had a discussion and decided that this won't be an option. Her main complaint is that the dog is too loud and has chewed up her toys. I understand where she's coming from, but the dog is just a puppy, so obviously he won't be doing that forever. We don't want her to be unhappy, but the rest of the family likes the dog, and we're sure she'll get used to it. Am I the idiot? Edit. My older daughter's been sniffly and sick almost since we got the dog, and she's still happy to help out with him. It's a Lab Rottweiler mix. All four of us have split the dog chores, so it's not just her. You are the idiot, but not for keeping the dog. You're the idiot for continually trying to make your daughter get involved in caring for a dog she doesn't want, forcing her to be around the dog when she's literally recoiling from it, and allowing a puppy to be unsupervised so that it even had the opportunity to chew up her toys. You wanted this dog, not your daughter, so take responsibility for it. And she deserves to be comfortable in her own home, so make sure she has the space to get away from the dog. It should not be allowed in her room, for example. And if the puppy still needs to be in training classes, it should be. My goodness, a Lab Rottweiler mix for young children? Y'all didn't think this through at all, did you? Number one, a dog is not a Christmas present. 2, you bought your kids a Christmas present for yourself. 3, you give your kids more chores, looking after a dog they never asked for. 4, kids are terrified of larger and more hyperbreed dogs. I hope they buy you a Barbie doll for your next gift. Yeah, when he said, we got the kids a dog, I thought, you got yourself a dog. He was the one who always wanted one. This should be his responsibility, not his kids. The older daughter also appears to be allergic to the dog and is suffering, but that didn't seem to matter to OP. So OP is a massive selfish idiot and a crap parent twice over. Do better, OP.